Let's talk about something that stirs up all kinds of opinions and feels a little taboo. Solo travel as a married woman. Should you do it? Can you? Will people give you the side eye like you just broke some unspoken secret marriage rule? Now, if you think solo travel is just for singles or for people that are burnt out and looking to escape, think again. It's actually one of the most powerful ways to deepen your marriage, nurture your family, and reconnect with yourself without the guilt. It's about recharging, growing, and coming back an even better version of you. But when you're married, traveling solo can raise eyebrows. Where's your husband? Or are you traveling solo? Trouble in paradise? Nanya. So if you've ever felt guilty about wanting to take a solo trip as a radical form of self-care without your hubby, you are in the right place. Hey beautiful, if we're just meeting, I'm Michelle, your fairy joy mother, and I'm going to be sharing 62-ish solo travel tips. Now these travel tips are for wannabe jet set wifeys over 40 or 50 or 60 or more, so you can travel safely, stress-free, guilt-free, and live your best joylicious life. Now here's how this video came to be. It started with an invitation. An online community I'm a part of was hosting a meetup in Vietnam. Now, one of the co-creators worded it like this: I'll be in Vietnam for about 10 days or so, and if you can, join me. Something in me said, I should go. Can I really do this? Now, I never imagined I would take a solo trip halfway around the world to Hoi An, Vietnam. Vietnam felt so far away, but there I was, suitcase in hand, boarding my flight to Hong Kong and then connecting over to Da Nang, Vietnam. I was stepping into a brand new adventure, and I was scared and I was excited, scared-sighted. But then I changed my mind. Was it weird to travel solo when you're married? But deep down, I knew this was my time. And get this, that trip changed everything, not just how I travel, but how I see myself, especially as I step into a new phase of life. Here's something to think about. The biggest challenge isn't the solo trip. It's what people think. As long as your husband is cool with you being away, don't worry about what others think. If he's against it, you're going to have to work that out together. And if you want another video on workarounds to solo travel, if your husband is uncomfortable, type hubby in the comment section. So a happy marriage is about independence and growth, not attachment at the hip. And taking a solo trip doesn't mean you're escaping your husband. It means you're expanding yourself. Your husband is not your emotional carry-on. You don't need to pack him everywhere you go. Now here's a twist. Absence does not just make the heart grow fonder. It makes you more interesting. Beautiful, it keeps mystery and excitement alive. New energy to bring back home. Now, if you really want to solo travel, don't share your plans to go solo. People will casually invite themselves along. But if they ask, why are you traveling alone? Just say, because I want to, period. Now, if you don't like to wait, I've put together the companion guide to this video. Go ahead and download the Jetset Wifey Solo Travel Playbook. And by the end of this video, you'll see how you can take your first solo trip safely, confidently, so you can live your best joylicious life. Now, I'll be referring to my notes so I can stay on task. So let's get started. Now grab your favorite beverage because we might be here for a while, okay? So the first thing we do is we always want to research. And where do I begin my research? YouTube University. I go there and I check to see what other people are posting about. If I have an idea of where I want to go, I'll look for videos like that. I'll also head over to Reddit. Yeah, Reddit, because Reddit is raw, unfiltered. They are unapologetic, right? So the next thing I'll do is I have a few places that excite me. I'll enter a phrase like travel tips for Black women, solo Black women. Why do I put Black women? Because things like there's nuances. When you travel to places that don't really see a lot of us or don't see us in person, there'll be things like they'll want to touch your hair. They'll want to take photos with you. So learning from other people's experiences, but Keep in mind that is their experience and your personal experience is going to differ, but just to have a heads up. Once you have an idea of where you want to go, you want to get your passport in order. I want you to double check to make sure that it is valid. And some places will require a minimum of 6 months. Some countries may have different requirements. That's why I want you to head over to travel.state.gov. You'll find information such as what countries require visas, if any. Now, Vietnam required a visa. And here's a little tip. Don't wait until like a couple of weeks before, because you never know what's going to happen. And my visa arrived 4 days before I was to leave, and that's unnecessary stress. So if you can, try to apply for your visa if you do need one as early as possible. Now, also, when you're on your passport, when you go to renew it, make sure you ask for extra pages. It is free to ask for extra pages. And if you want, you can get a passport card. Now, I use the passport card. It's an additional charge, but I like it because I don't always have to keep my passport on me. You do need to keep some type of identification on you when you're in another country, but I like the passport card because it's the size of a driver's license and I can leave my passport safely in my hotel room. So while you're still in the research phase, especially on Reddit or your favorite social media platform, check out the local scams in that country. I hate to say this, but I just want you to be aware and well prepared when you travel. So type in local scams in Vietnam. And maybe one of the scams that I read about was the Grab drivers, which is kind of like our Uber. They would show you the Uber, or which is the Grab price. That's the local company that's kind of like Uber, and they'll say, I can take you for less. Now, it's not necessarily a scam. You just got to respect the hustle. But the thing about it is when you are using the Grab app, it will track your ride, and it's more of a safety thing. That's a little tiny thing. It's not really a scam. It's just things to be aware of when you're in the country. Also, research things that are illegal or what not to do videos. Now, did you know that chewing gum in Singapore is illegal? Yeah, there's a lot of little quirky things that I want you to be aware of when you do take your first solo trip. Next, I love to watch airport arrival videos because when you get to a new country, the airport can be a little bit intimidating. And if you have a little bit of intel from other YouTube videos and other social media creators on what to do, where to go, where to exchange your money, and just to have a visual so that when you get there, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this from the video. Yeah, I remember that from the video. Now, another safety tip, whether you're using Uber, Bolt, or Grab, when you are being picked up, don't say, hi, are you Giovanni? Just say, hi, I'm Michelle. What's your name? And this way you can confirm that their screen matches your screen. It's just a tiny little bit of extra security. I know your husband's going to love that you're being extra cautious and being prepared when you're traveling. Now, the nice thing about being prepared is you'll know what airports are able to offer. It's called contactless payment. So you can use your Apple Pay, you can use your Google Wallet, you can even use your contactless credit card. And it's really nice because you don't have to get an Oyster card, you don't have to get a Subway card. I know in London, they do take contactless payments, and also the New York City Subway, they also take contactless payments too. So that's a less stress-free thing. You don't really have to worry about finding and buying tickets. But again, those videos are invaluable and so helpful. Thank you all you creators that help me with all the travel planning that I do. Now, if you don't want to take public transportation, do the airport tax. It's not an official tax. It's something I call, and it's basically about convenience. Now, a lot of people will tell you, don't go to this counter, go to this counter because they have the best exchange rates. I'm just paying the tax because those few pennies, to me, it's not worth it. I'm just going to get a little bit of the local currency. Like right here, I have currency that I keep in this pouch. And what I'll do, I'll open, like I have lira, I have Turkish lira, I have euro, and I have lots of dong. These dong, Vietnamese dong, will make you feel like you're a millionaire. I mean, the denominations are crazy, 100,000. It's crazy. So what I'll do is I'll exchange my local currency that I have from places that I've been, and I'll just exchange it for the local currency. And I just like to keep it in a little pouch. Makes it a little bit easier, and I know where my items are. So that's where you can do. And just exchange a small amount just to have something between the airport and until you can find an ATM. So I consider taking a taxi, taking the first currency exchange. I call that the airport arrival tax. And it's just for my peace of mind. Now, I want you to allow plenty of time for international transfers. When you're booking your flight, see if you can get a minimum of about 3 hours or more, because things are going to happen. And those transfers are based on everything going according to plan. And we know airlines don't always leave according to plan. So having that little bit of a buffer, that little international extra transfer time can really help you if there's any delays, if your flight diverts, if there's medical emergencies, anything like that. So you're just kind of building in extra time when you solo travel. Now, I am team carry-on. I know a lot of people like checking their bags because they like to bring everything but the kitchen sink. But team carry-on is key for me because, as an airline employee, I never know if I'm going to get on a flight, and I really don't want my bags leaving or ending up in a place where I don't even end up. So in the event you have to check your bags because the overhead bins are full, or if you go up to the counter and they ask you to put your bags on the scale, I'm always so nervous when I have to put my bags on the scale. I keep a carry-on bag, which is basically like the tote bag that I have, and I put everything that I would need to have inside my backpack. And that way, if I have to check my bag, I just open up my suitcase, this little hard-sided suitcase right here. I just open up this hard-sided suitcase, and inside is a backpack, and this way I will know that I can actually grab the items that I need to have and not even have to worry so much if my bags are delayed. Now, speaking of overweight bags, this is a really handy item to have, especially on non-US carriers that really are very strict about weight. This is a lifesaver, especially when you're packing at home. You don't have to do the repack because in Da Nang, they even have like repack stations. So this way, it's less stressful. If you know ahead of time, you can follow the baggage dimensions and weight restrictions. And this way, you don't have to be the person opening up your suitcase at the airport trying to wear additional items so you can avoid that extra baggage fee. So know how much your bags weigh by having a little scale, or if you're a little nervous when you get to the airport, go to an empty check-in station and there's all the scales there, so you can also weigh your bag there if you don't have one at home. Now, if you have to check your bag, what I want you to do is at the counter, take a picture of your bag, your suitcase, with a luggage tag on it. This way, if your bag is delayed, missing, or you never have it, at least you have proof that you checked your bag and you have the tag that where you were supposed to. It'll go a lot quicker when you're trying to file that claim. Next, I want you to register for STEP. It's the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, and you can go to mytravel.state.gov/STEP. Now, I want you to write the phone numbers for the U.S. consulate in the event you need to reach them. I want you to be prepared ahead of time. Also, find out what the local emergency numbers are. Here in the U.S., our emergency number is 911, but in Vietnam, their emergency numbers that are similar to 911 is 113 for the police, 114 for fire, and 115 for the ambulance. If you're finding value, go ahead and give me a like and consider subscribing. Now, also, I want you to create an itinerary. You can do it manually or you can have it done automatically for you. One I'm going to suggest is tripit.com. You can register for free for the basic service. And this way, anytime you make a reservation using the registered email, it will automatically create an itinerary for you, and you can always forward it to your loved ones, your friends, your family. Hubby will love having an itinerary of all your plans in case anything happens, but usually it's just a good way for people to kind of have an idea of where you are. Also, you can consider turning on Google Maps and do location sharing. You can share it with your friends, you can family, and anyone that you trust, or your parents that are probably a little nervous of why you're traveling solo. At least they can see your location, and you can control who gets it and for how long. So that's a feature of the Google Map location sharing. Now, I know we live in a digital world and we're so reliant on our phones, but I always like to have a printed copy of especially like my visa. I needed a visa for Vietnam. I printed out 2 copies just in case. I like to have a printed copy of my itinerary, printed copy of the hotel where I'll be staying, and just things like that. And as well as the consulate numbers, which I mentioned earlier. Now, another thing that I want you to consider is a couple of days before my trip, for some reason, I just let my battery run out. I went downstairs and the battery was dead. So I just normally just plugged it in. I plugged it in, that battery, my phone would not turn on. I had to head over to YouTube University to get my phone back up and charging. And that led me to think, I know a lot of us use 2-factor authentication. And if your phone is damaged, or like in my case, it wouldn't turn on, if you go to use another phone, especially a device that you don't normally use, for security purposes, they're going to send you a code. And if the phone is damaged, missing, won't turn on, disappeared, you have no recourse and you're pretty much locked out of your accounts. Now, there's a nice feature in Gmail. It's called recovery codes. And what you can do is you can either write those or you can print them. I just printed a few of them and I just cut it and I keep it with me in my wallet. And this way I put 3. Instead of 1 code, I have 3 recovery codes. In case something happens, I have like 2 backups. So if you see a trend with me, I like to have extra because my motto is 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So print out copies, have backup codes of your Gmail. If you use another email service, find out what the recovery code is. And also I use a password manager, and that also has a recovery code. I use Bitwarden. So if you're using a password manager, make sure you have recovery codes in case you need to use another phone because you can't find your phone. So travel insurance. Now, a lot of the credit cards, like I have Chase, different levels of the Chase card, different levels of Capital One, or actually the Venture X card, they have insurance or trip interruption built into them. So what you can do is you can contact the customer service and ask them for what policies, what types of coverage is included with your credit card. And you have to use that credit card to book travel on. Now, if you don't have a credit card that comes with coverage, you can also just purchase it on your own. Now, I'll leave a link on there. It's an affiliate link of mine. And this way you can compare all the different insurance coverages. Now, here's a tip. Don't use, like if you're leaving on the 3rd of June, don't say your coverage starts on the 3rd of June. I'm going to say your coverage starts like 2 days before and 2 days after. Now, I love Global Entry because it also comes with TSA PreCheck. Now, this is for planning if you are returning or for your future trips, because I know once you start solo traveling, you're going to be hooked. So once you have that application for Global Entry, it comes with TSA PreCheck. So I just don't recommend just signing up for TSA PreCheck. Just do the Global Entry and you'll get, it's like a 2-for-1 with like $10 more. Now, the bonus, if you have one of those credit cards I mentioned earlier, like the American Express, the Chase, the Venture X, it gives you reimbursement for your application for a Global Entry. So it's another great perk of having the right travel credit card to give you extra perks and to make your life simple when you travel so you can live your best joylicious life. Now, while you wait for your application to process, if you choose to get Global Entry, you can still get expedited entry back to the US. It's called the Free Mobile Passport Control, MPC, and I'll leave a link for that app for you. It's a government website and you can just set it up the day that you're scheduled to arrive, take a photo, and that way it's almost like Global Entry, but it's the free version of Global Entry. I think you'll like that as well. Contrary to popular opinion, I want you to consider an experiment. We're always talking about rolling our clothes. I want you to try flat packing your clothes and see if that's going to save you time, especially if you have things that could easily get wrinkled or things that are a little bit more substantial. Do an experiment. Try flat packing. and also try rolling and see which serves you best. Now, a lot of people talk about packing cubes. I don't use packing cubes. I just feel it's just extra. It's just extra things. I like to be able to look into my suitcase really quickly at a glance and see the items that I have in there. If they're in cubes, unless they're clear plastic cubes, I can't see that. So that's one of the reasons that I don't use packing cubes. Now, I mentioned about checking a bag. If you can avoid checking a bag, a lot of people bring extra because they're thinking, I need extra clothes. But what you can do, there's so many places that do laundry. And also what I do is I just bring, there's some dryer sheets that I bring, there's laundry sheets that I bring, and there's a couple of Tide Pods that I bring, especially for really tough stains. And those things come in really handy, especially with like spaghetti or pasta sauce. Those are really hard to get out. So just having that laundry detergent really helps you do a quick spot wash. And there's also places around the world, especially in places like Southeast Asia, where it's so affordable to have your laundry done. So this way you can be team carry-on. You can do quick laundry in your hotel room, and you can also send your laundry out to get done. Now, I like using an anti-theft crossbody bag, and especially when you're traveling solo, this is really helpful because you can keep your valuables on you. I use that to keep my passport on me, my phone, my money, my wallet, anything that's important, I keep that on me, and I stays on at all times. Even when you go into the bathroom on the planes, wear your valuables on you. Now, the thing about this is that it came in even handier than I thought. It was just really a lesson for me. After I got off the flight from Boston to Hong Kong, I usually have a go bag, and I'll share that with you in a little bit. But I wanted to repack all the items because I didn't want to go up to the counter with extra bags. So I took all my items out, put everything back in my suitcase, zipped it up, and walked away. I left my tote sitting on the seat. I'm standing in line waiting to get my boarding pass because it was lovely because Hong Kong has a dedicated desk for us standby travelers. We actually feel like we're real people sometimes. So I'm standing in line and I look down and I realize I left my tote bag on the seat. Talk about terror. I wish that on no one. It took me about 4 or 5 minutes. I sprinted back over to the area, and fortunately it was still there. But the good thing is I had everything in there. I had my camera in there. I had all of my chargers. I had my journal. My journal was in there. Speakers, headphones, everything was in there. But the good thing is, the good thing is I had my crossbody on me, which had my passport, my visa, my money. So if that bag had not been there, at least I would still have things on me. So that's why I recommend an anti-theft crossbody bag. It has steel wires, it has anti-slash, and it has lots of little zippers along with RFID to make your credit cards a little safer. Now, I also want you to create a mini first aid kit or purchase a little mini first aid kit. Things just like pain reliever, Band-Aids, and especially decongestant, because you don't want to fly. If you somehow think you're catching a cold, it could wreak havoc on your ears. So just by having that decongestant, if you feel like you're getting something, pop that. If you have to fly, it could save your ears days of pain. Now consider buying duplicates of your toiletries. I keep this toiletry bag. I love it because it lays flat, and basically it's a drawstring, and I can just open it and have a complete mess just like my bathroom upstairs. But the nice thing about it is that it zips up. I can just quickly put it back into my suitcase when I'm ready to go in like 3 seconds flat. And one thing I want you to consider is get duplicates of your toiletries. If you have a favorite lipstick, go back and get an extra. If you have a favorite body wash, go back and get extra. Get duplicates because it'll be so stress-free when it's time to pack, because you know you already have everything that you need. And if you run out of something, just send a little note to yourself to replenish it when you get home. But duplicates is a game changer. Take a plastic bag from home. Why a plastic bag? It's a shower cap. Because those tiny little shower caps that you have in your hotel room, they're not going to do anything for your locks, for your braids, for your afro. And this way, you don't even have to take your bonnet off. You just put this beautiful, large plastic bag instead of trying to use this little tiny, you probably need to use like 4 of these just to get over your head, depending on your hairstyle. So bring a garbage bag and you can use this as a shower cap. Now, I want you to be mindful of the L.A.G rule. That's liquids, aerosols, and gels. These are the TSA. So in your toiletry case, make sure that your items are less than 100 milliliters, okay? Because even if you have less in a larger bottle that's listed as more than 100, they will confiscate that for you. So just be mindful that your liquids, aerosols, and gels need to be in a 100 milliliter bag, and they need to fit into, I believe it is a 1 quart resealable plastic bag, okay? So I like to keep extra bags handy. They come in so handy for all kinds of things: wet clothes, last day of traveling, and even that plastic bag or that garbage bag, you can put dirty clothes in there on your last day. So you'll know exactly what to pull out and wash when you get home. Now for liquids and gels, I know a lot of people are concerned about, I may need extra things. You can just pack those in your suitcase. But if you like a certain juice, you like your flavored water, and you don't want to spend $230 for a bottle of water at the airport, yeah, you can go ahead and freeze some. If you have a special conditioner that you like to use, go ahead and freeze that. As long as these items are solid and frozen when you get to go through TSA screening, what you'll do is you'll let the TSA agent know, say, I have some frozen items, is that okay? And you will take them out separately to let them know. And the liquids and gels limitation was based on a 2006. It was a plot to blow up some international airlines. And that's why TSA started restricting the amount of liquids and gels that you can take, which is currently the 3-1-1 rule. Now, as you're planning for your travel day, I want you to think of an outfit to wear. Now, keep in mind that you're going to want to have pants that you can roll up, or maybe a dress when you go to the lab, because I always tell my customers, the floor may be wet and it's not always water. So you want to be able to have an outfit. You want to layer, because sometimes the plane can get really, really cold. A lot of times it can get really warm. But if you have these outfits that don't touch the floor when you go to the lab, it'll make your travel day and it'll make your travel experience much more joyful. Also, if you need to use the restroom just for a break, for a breather, if you're stuck in the middle seat, I like to take some poo spray with me, not just for me, but to just get a little bit of a relief in the bathroom. You can probably use it for the previous occupant, and if you need to use it for yourself. But I use that sometimes if I am stuck in the middle seat, I'll do that. There's usually liners. You can buy liners, disposable liners, but most of the times they're on the plane. Just look in a couple of different drawers or on the wall. And I will bring my disinfectant wipes, wipe that seat down, put the liners on. I use like 3 or 4. That's just my OCD coming into place. And just spritz it and just have a little me time on those super, super long flights, just for maybe 5 or 7 minutes or so. Now, speaking of flying economy, I love to have a handy dandy scarf with me. This comes in handy for extra warmth. If the plane is cold, it comes in handy when there are aromas that I don't want. And it also comes in handy when I just need a little bit of me time. It reminds me of when you were kids and you played underneath the table and you use a bed sheet. Does anyone remember that? So if you're finding value in this, go ahead and click the subscribe button and give me a like and share it with a friend or two. Now, this is something a little bit more serious as the older you get. It's called DVT, and it's deep vein thrombosis. And what I do is I pack these are compression socks, and they compress. So what I'll normally do is I will put them on either in the restroom, or I'll put them on usually in the lounge in the restroom. And that way I'll keep them on until I get to my hotel room. So these compression socks helps to improve blood circulation and reduce swelling, especially on these long haul flights. Pack what I like to call an airplane go bag. This is just a bag that folds up really, into nothing. But it's handy because you can put things inside of it. And I'll put like chargers. I'll put like my scarf if I'm not wearing it, or if it gets too hot. I'll put snacks in there, just anything that I would want to have during the flight. And I thought this was really cool. I have so many amenity kits, but this one is really useful because this is what it looks like as an amenity kit. This is hubby's. He's too cool for school. He didn't even use his. And then it turns into a mini, which is so cool. It turns into a mini, look at that, backpack. So that can also be something like this, can also be great for your go bag. Helps you keep your items easily accessible, and you don't have to be going in and out of the overhead bin when you're on the flight. Now, if you're traveling internationally, determine if you're going to need either a converter, which is a converter. It converts the currency. So you want to double check, like on your laptop chargers, make sure that the currency reads with the currency of the country you're going to. You can also get a universal adapter. This is one from South Africa. I have a whole bunch of them, so I didn't want to put them in a landfill. These are so old. These maybe 2-3 decades old. This is only about 2 years old because this was for South Africa, but these are really, really old, and these are handy because you do not want to fry your beloved mobile devices, your electronics, by using the wrong converter or by forcing the wrong adapter. So just double check your research and make sure you have the right adapter for the country you're going to. So in preparing for your flight, I want you to download your own in-flight entertainment. Download your movies, download ebooks, download audios, download everything that you need. Even though the airline or the airplane says that model will have Wi-Fi, it's sometimes 50-50. Sometimes it works, and if it does work, sometimes the speed is not what we're up to. But I just don't like to always rely on the entertainment of the airplane, so I bring my own. So one of the things that I really like doing is I bring extra of everything. You guys know I bring extra of everything. I have extra phones, which is really a good thing to have. So I have this extra phone in here. This is my little kit. I have a battery charger, which is it's not universal, but it has different cables built right into it. And I don't have to look for a charging cable. Lots of cables. Always bring pens. A lot of people forget to bring pens, okay? And I have an adapter. I have all kinds of adapters. I have headphones in here. One of these headphones is somewhere in the Indian Ocean. Fell out of my ear on the Overwater Villa, never to be seen again. But luckily, I had extras. 2 is 1 and 1 is none, right? And then I have extra backup chargers. So I love to have extra items. I have extra plugs. Yeah, I have everything in here. So when you're planning, don't always assume that just because the airline says they're going to have outlets or plugs or entertainment, because from Hong Kong, my charger did not work. The cable did not work. So I had to be gracious and offer my seatmate. I said to her, would you like to charge yours? She goes, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, well, can I use yours because mine's not working? She was like, sure. And then about 9 hours into the flight, she said, oh, can I use it? Of course you can. I would have been having to use my backup phone if I didn't have extra chargers. So always plan ahead, always have chargers, create your own entertainment. Don't rely exclusively on the airline. Now, here's something that I always leave. I have a couple of these. You know I have a couple, right? This is an HDMI cable, and I really love using this because I don't normally watch network TV, or if I get to like South Korea, they just have South Korean programming, go figure, right? But I always have things on my phone or things on my laptop that I can watch. I have videos I can YouTube videos I can download, podcasts, audio. And what I do is I will plug this into the back of the TV, the HDMI cable, plug it into my laptop. And if you're going to use an adapter for your phone, you can do that. And then I have the content streaming on my TV in my room and don't have to worry about what's being shown in my country, because most of the times, like I said, I don't watch regular TV programming. Another tip is about charging. Like sometimes we have a lot of devices that need a charge, and sometimes you can use your laptop as an extra USB charger. On the back of those smart TVs, there's about 2 or 3 USB inputs. So if you have your cable, you can just plug it into your phone and you can charge your devices from your TV if you don't have an abundance of USB or outlets to charge in your room. Or if you forgot to get an adapter, you can use that USB cable. And sometimes you can even find chargers on the clocks in the room. That's another emergency way to charge your devices if you forgot to bring an adapter. Now, some airlines allow check-in at 36, 30, and 24 hours. So make sure you are ready to check in, especially if you weren't able to choose your seat. Check in exactly at that cutoff time. And I like to use time.gov. It gives you the exact time around the world, so you can be ready to check in as soon as check-in for your airline officially opens, and this way you can snag the best seats. Now, when you are placing your luggage in the overhead bin, especially on ultra-long flights, overnight flights, red-eyes, any flight, if it has a lock, lock it, okay? If you don't have a lock built in, always have like an extra lock, and you can just lock your backpack, you can lock your duffel bag, whatever you're using. Always try to get into the habit of locking your items. Now, if possible, don't advertise the fact that you are traveling solo. Never say it's my first time here. If someone asks you, you can say, oh, I come here all the time, or I'm revisiting my favorite places, or I'm going to be meeting my husband. He's here for a meeting. You never want to advertise the fact. And sometimes these are the white lies that may just actually make you feel a little bit more safe. You don't owe anyone an explanation why you're traveling alone. It's none of their business. None ya. Get to the airport at the recommended time. I like to go a little bit earlier because I love hanging out. Hubby and I love hanging out in the airport lounges. Now, also check the flight status before you leave to give you a heads up of what to expect. And keep this in mind, even though the flight may be delayed maybe like 2 or even 3 hours, and that's happened. If the flight is delayed 3 hours, don't think that you can go to the airport 3 hours late, because regardless of what time the flight departs, they will close check-in usually an hour ahead of time. So yeah, use the status to kind of have a heads up, but don't plan on arriving later than when you were supposed to check in, or you may be denied boarding. Now, I mentioned that hubby and I love the airport lounges. I think it's like a little treat when you're flying. It's a calm space. And I'm telling you, the airport lounge that I have been to that was the most amazing so far, there's a couple of them, but the Istanbul and the Abu Dhabi lounges, they are amazing. And these were all accessible through the Priority Pass membership. Now, if you have a Capital One card, which is the Venture X, that's the higher level card. I believe that's $395 as the time of this recording. There's also the Sapphire Reserve, and there's the American Express. Now, these lounges, these cards will give you access to lounges, but I found the Capital One, the Venture X card, I found that to be the most valuable because even though it's $395, I get the Priority Pass and I get a $300 airline credit. And you have seen the prices of food at the airport. That's for 1 year. $95 you can easily spend $95 at the airport with drinks, snacks, water, wine, beer. So I feel like those airport lounges provide a really good value. Sometimes they make it a little bit crowded, but you can always grab a bite to go. And there's some new lounges with the Capital One. There's a one called The Landing in DC, and Capital One has some exclusive lounges as well as American Express Centurion Club. So choose what works best for you and your family and your travel plans and your travel needs. Now, most international airlines will give out amenity kits. This is so pretty. This is from Turkish Air. They give out amenity kits in their economy. I believe Emirates also gives out amenity kits. But in the instance that your airline that you're flying does not offer economy amenity kits, you can just make your own. Put things in there that you know that you're going to use. Because sometimes I feel like I have a lifetime supply of lip balm. You see, these aren't even open. Hubby doesn't even open his anymore. But I just grab them. I just bring them from my neighbor. You know, the pouches are really cute and you can use them for anything. So you can create your own DIY long haul airplane amenity kit. So anytime you leave an area, always do 1, 2, 3. Count your bags: crossbody, tote bag, rollerboard. Get into the habit of doing this because this way you are less likely to leave items behind, especially when traveling solo. Traveling with a group, with friends, husbands, girlfriends, that can be pretty stressful. But when you're traveling alone and have to be responsible for everything, you don't have that second set of eyes like you normally do. I'm sure if I was with my husband when I was repacking my items and I zipped up my rollerboard and getting ready to go, he would have said, "Sweetie, you left don't forget your tote bag." But because I am all alone traveling, just get into that habit of physically checking your phone, your wallet, any items you need to have before you leave an area. 1, 2, 3. And the less bags you have, the less stress, the better your travels will go. One thing about solo travel is the safety factor. And in the airline industry, we refer to this as situational awareness. It's being alert of your surroundings, not looking like you're lost, especially when you're traveling. So if you are lost, don't just pull out your phone and start looking for things that signal to others that you are not from the area. Duck into maybe a cafe, a shop, check your plans to see, but always be aware when you're walking alone, maybe cross the street every once in a while, turn around and see who's behind you. Just be always alert, be aware. Do like how we're taught in the airline industry and always practice situational awareness, whether you're traveling or whether you're at home. Now, this spy-worthy travel tip is straight from the James Bond playbook. When you are out and about, you're going to look like a tourist when you have your phone in your hand with your Google Maps. It's like, no, that signals to someone, an opportunist, that you're an easy target, and we don't want that. So what I want you to do is use your earbuds, put your earbuds in, and I don't want you to walk around with your earbuds with music in them. You can use your earbuds to blend in because most people in countries and cities, especially in the cities, most people have their headphones on. So by using your earbuds, you'll look like you're blending, but don't turn the music on. Now, when you're using Google Maps, I want you to use the voice guidance feature. And here's how to enable it. You're going to open up your Google Maps app. You're going to tap your profile picture or the initials. You're going to tap settings. You're going to tap navigation. You're going to scroll down and tap detailed voice guidance. You're going to toggle the switch to the on position and you are ready to go. You'll be able to hear the directions in your ear using your earbuds, and your phone will be safely tucked away in your crossbody bag. No need to pull it out, and you can safely get where you are. You'll just have the voice directions in your ear. Now, if you're finding value from these travel tips, go ahead and subscribe and click the like button as well. Now, here's something I want you to be aware of. Do not post about your travels on your social media profiles in real time. You don't want to give anyone any intel about where you are. We don't know people's intentions. And even though you're posting innocently, people can take it the wrong way. So what I would suggest you do is, you do want to share your travels. I would suggest you post when you get home. And the way you can stay in the moment, you can favorite the images or the videos that you want to share. You can write a quick caption in your note-taking tool or on your phone. Just keep everything in one place. And this way, when you get home, you can post your travels, you can share your inspiration, you can share your videos, and you'll be safely at home and not having to worry about anyone stalking you. It's unnecessary. And it's a safety feature. Do not post in real time. Now, it's crucial to stay in touch with your loved ones, your hubby back home. And if you don't already have WhatsApp, I would suggest that you use it because it's universally used. The nice thing about WhatsApp is it will use Wi-Fi and you don't have to worry about using up your data or call, or you can do video. And that's what hubby and I would do. I would call him, give him a video, little tour of where I am, and the nice thing about it is you can use it real time. So if you're in some place and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to share this, you can just whip up your WhatsApp, open up your application, call whoever it is you want. You want to call your sister, your mom, your dad, your brother, whoever you want to call, and you can share that information with them real time. And that way you're sharing your experiences. You don't feel so isolated, and you're still being able to enjoy the thrill of solo travel, which is building your confidence and creating a better version of yourself. Now, speaking of safety, which is so important to me, and especially for my husband is very safety conscious. I have what is called a personal alarm, and I was able to get a pack of these. There's about 6 of them. Warning, do not use this. Be careful when you're using this little handle, because if it comes out, the noise will begin. So you can clip these onto like your zippers. You can put this on your crossbody. You can take this out when you're walking. And it has a light as well. See, it has a little light on there as well, which is really great when you're on the plane and the plane is just in darkness for 15 hours. I don't know why the flight attendants always want you to please lower your shade. It's not 15 hours of darkness anywhere, unless you're in Alaska, but this is really good for when you're out walking day or night, anywhere you go, because the noise triggers unwanted attention for the would-be opportunist. Let's call it that. So I'm going to give you a warning. I'm going to release it. So if you are somewhere, you can go ahead and mute your video. Okay. Here's your warning. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's pretty loud. So these are really good to have. And you get like 6 of them. They come up, there's a whole bunch of them, so you can use them for different things. Next up is what I call B.Y.O.L. I like this. It comes in a little pouch, and basically it's almost like it's pretty much like a door lock, like a barrier, because most of the times I don't have to use it because the hotel has what I consider a pretty, sturdy lock. But sometimes, like when I was in Vietnam, the hotel door, the chain looked like I could rip it apart. So I whipped out, I always have this in my suitcase too. I just whip this out, and you can just place it in the door jamb that is the correct size. It comes connected, but I took it off because I felt it's a lot easier. So all you'll do is just find the right door jamb size, stick it in there, hold it, and just close your door, and then use these little hearts, and then you'll create a jamb. And then to remove it, you'll do the same thing. But practice a little bit, because I had a hard time getting out. So it was keeping others out. It was keeping me in. So just practice using it before your travels. I also like having this steel cable with me because, of course, with a lock. And I just like to have extra things in my bag. You can see these are small. They don't take up much room. But if you have to stay, let's see, an unexpected layover, like your flight was delayed or your flight was canceled and the next flight's not for another 6 hours, and you're going to stay at the airport and you want to maybe doze off, but especially when you're traveling alone. So what I would do is I would just take this and I would just wrap it around my suitcase like this. And then I would just attach it to maybe the seat. So it's a lot difficult for someone to just get my suitcase, even though I may sleep or nod off. So it's just a nice thing to have. And they don't take up a lot of room. It's just peace of mind. It's like your little security kit that you can always keep in your suitcase. Now, the best way to stay safe is to act like you belong. As a flight attendant, we are usually on layovers by ourselves. if we choose to, and you want to have that confident walk. Look like you've been there before. You don't care. You're over this. I do this all the time. So just have that confidence walk. And what I suggest is when you're out, I would suggest that you wear sunglasses because now you can look around. Plus, it avoids people making contact with you, which can be misconstrued depending on the country that you're in. So act like you belong, poised, collected, a little unimpressed, and this body language keeps unwanted attention away. I always like to be prepared, and if you are going to be using Google Maps for either driving or walking, I would suggest you take screenshots of the directions because sometimes your connection or your Wi-Fi may not be as stable. You don't want to be driving somewhere or walking somewhere and lose your Wi-Fi connection. I mentioned that you can download Google Maps, but Google Maps is not available if you are walking. So screenshots, be familiar with where you're going, and just be, like I said, use situational awareness. Be confident. Look like you belong. So I like to have breakfast included in my rates or just pay for it ahead of time because I don't like hunting around the first morning I'm there looking for breakfast. I like having a place where I can just throw on something easily, go downstairs, sit in the lobby and just kind of make my plans for the day. So if possible, get breakfast included. You can maybe the first day or eat downstairs the first day. The remainder of your stay, you'll have time to kind of scout out the best places that you can eat and enjoy. So look for that first day breakfast as a stress-free way to have a joylicious solo travel. Now, restaurant and dining out is an opportunity for growth. People are so afraid of eating alone. Now, I've been a flight attendant for over 2 decades, and that is not an issue for me. I don't even think twice of it, but I know people that are new to solo travel may be a little nervous about eating by themselves. So when you go to the restaurant, you can just say something like, "Table for me, please," as opposed to the conventional table for one, like, "Oh, just table for one." I just say, "Table for me, please." And if you're a little anxious, you can bring a book, you can have your tablet. And if that's still too much, you can eat your dinner or your lunch at the bar if it's available. This way you can talk to the bartender, you can talk to the staff, and you'll have natural conversation. If that's still too much or you need a way to work your confidence into dining, you can start off by getting food to go and then go into a nearby park and just sitting on a bench or having a little picnic. And that way you'll build your confidence because this solo travel, it's a form of self-care, but it's also a confidence builder as well. Now, here's a really quick tip, and it's so easy. If you're going to a country where the currency is not the currency you use every day, go online and search local currency in. I did that for Vietnam. I did local currency in Vietnam, and I was able to get a little bit of intel about their currency system. They don't use coins. You get the name of the currency, which is the dong. And what I do is I like to keep all of my foreign currency. I like to keep it in one of these pouches. I have quite a few, or even better, you can put it in a plastic bag. But I like to keep this in something like this so not everyone knows. I'm not opening up a traditional wallet. I'm just opening up a little case. No one knows what's in there, but all my international currency is in there. Now, when I was preparing for my trip, I called my bank, especially my credit cards, and they're like, "No, you don't need to give us a travel authorization. No, you don't." But I'm thinking, they said if there's a problem, they'll call me. But how are you going to call me if I'm out of the country? So I would just call them anyway and just ask them to note this. Now, I was being really super cautious with my credit cards, like my Chase, my American Express, my Venture X. I bring extras just in case. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So I did not contact my local bank and tell them that I was traveling. So I was there sitting in my room and I get a call and it's my local bank. And I'm thinking, why are they calling me? And they were like, "Oh, hi, Michelle." This is a small local bank. You're not going to get this with Bank of America. This is my local hometown bank. "Oh, hi, Michelle." I'm like, "Hi. The reason for my call is we saw a login to your bank account in Vietnam. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in Vietnam. And they were like, oh, good. We thought it was a phishing attempt or a fraud attempt because there's so much of that going on. And I said, yeah, I didn't call because, I don't use my debit card that much. But I was going to use my ATM card, my debit card, which is an ATM card. And she goes, oh, I'm so glad you told me because you wouldn't have been able to take any money out. So she took about 5 minutes, released my card for me to be able to withdraw dong from Hoi An. And if you are going to be using a debit card, just let your bank know, even though they say we don't need it, just ask them to put a note. It's better to be prepared than to be sorry. Now, make sure your ATM cards are active. I don't use a debit card that much. I use my credit cards like debit cards. So it's very rare that I use an ATM card. I did have a Fidelity card that has international fees that are waived or rebated at the end of the month. So I had that ready and I was calling them just to confirm. I still had a balance in my account, in my brokerage account, but when I called for the debit card to just confirm, like, yeah, I can use this anywhere in the world without fees, right? They were like, oh no, that card is no longer active. So make sure your ATM cards, your debit cards, I know Charles Schwab has one. I opened up one with Charles Schwab, but I didn't have enough time to get the card. So if you're going to use these cards for travel and not everyday use, just maybe every once in a while, just do a small purchase on them to keep them active so that when it comes time to travel, you have access to an ATM worldwide and you can have local currency at your fingertips. So when we travel, we want to stay in contact, and I love using my data eSIM. I used to use the old school, you had a fiddle to get the little cartridge out, the little cradle out, put the eSIM, the SIM card. I don't do that anymore. I use my eSIM, and I use this company. I've been using them for a couple of years now. And the nice thing about this is I can download my SIM when I'm at home. It's an easy process. I get that in there. And then when I'm on the plane and I land, I already have phone access. It'll just connect to a local tower. So you can check with your local carrier to see if you have international phone coverage. It can be a bit pricey, but I find that I use Airalo, and I find that by using them, it's just so affordable, and I get extra. You guys know I get extra, right? I get way more than I need, because if you're just getting the amount of data that you're thinking that, oh yeah, those 2 gig will be enough for me. No, I like to have maybe like 4 gig, because if you stay extra or if you're on the flight, I made the mistake one time of downloading videos because I'm at the airplane. I'm at the airport. I'm going to download some videos and just use up all my data. Always leave some extra data because I wasn't able to get my boarding pass updates because I used up all my data. So leave at least maybe 1 gig. This way, if your flight is delayed, you'll have a coverage and you won't have to top up because, and the rates are so affordable. It's great to have extra. Now, when you upgrade your phone, consider keeping an extra phone around. This is really great for travel. It's just good to have a backup phone because we rely so much on our phones these days. So what I did for my backup phone is I just did a factory wiped. Because I am team Android and I use Google, I just did a backup account. So if my email is travelfun22@whatever.com, I would create a Play account or a Google account for travelfun22 backup at whatever.com, because this way now I can go into the Play Store, I can download the apps that I would use, but it's not tied to my personal everyday data. So I don't have to worry about losing that phone. If I did lose it, it's no big deal because it's just really an extra phone for me to have. But I do have my password manager on there. This way I can log into my password manager and get access to all my accounts. So keep those spare phones. They're more valuable than you think. So on your phone, when you're preparing for your travel, I would consider making a folder on your phone and put all of your apps, all your travel apps in there. This way you're not like going swiping all over your screen. You keep everything in one place. You can keep your currency conversion conversion apps. Those are great to have. You can keep your flight board apps. Those are great to have. And in the companion download, I'll have all of this information in there, plus a couple of extras that I didn't have time to include. Also consider using a VPN. There are streaming sites like Netflix. They will only give you the content for the country that you're in. So if you are used to watching your favorite series, or you binge watch series that you like, make sure that VPN is installed or purchased before you leave. This way you can watch the content from the country that you're located in. Now, if you don't really need a VPN because you don't watch Netflix or other streaming services, what you can do is use Windscribe. It's a limited data VPN. Things like checking into if you want to check your bank accounts or your credit cards, things like that. So I would not use free public Wi-Fi because it's just, it's not secure, first of all. If you're going to use free Wi-Fi, make sure you use a VPN. Don't subject yourself to unnecessary theft. Now, there's this thing called juice jacking, especially at airports. Basically, what it is you will plug in your USB or your charger cable directly into these outlets. And what it will do is it will take the connection and potentially steal data from your phone. The way you can do this, if you need to charge your phone in public spaces, always try to use an actual outlet and use a connector. And if you're in a foreign country, again, you have those adapters that you can use to charge your phone. So avoid charging your phones in public spaces by plugging it into the USB port to avoid the juice jacking phenomena. One of the things I really want to stress when you're planning your solo trip is don't overplan. I know we're thinking that we're only in certain places, certain cities and countries for a limited time, and we want to see everything, but that's just going to make you so exhausted. You're not going to have time to fully embrace. Now, I call myself Michelle Serendipity Green. I just love when things happen, when you meet people on tours, when you meet people on groups, when you find something you didn't plan on going to. So let serendipity guide you. Have a few structured things that you may want to do, but avoid the temptation to overplan on your solo trip. Now, for your hotel room, you definitely want to have disinfectant wipes. And I bring these everywhere I go. Now, I have this is not an amenity kit that I got from the airplane. This actually is semi-water resistant. I'm not going to say it's waterproof, but it's semi-water resistant. And I even have like my disinfectant wipes, and I use this when I get to the hotel. I wipe everything down. She wiped everything down, okay? I wash the cups, the glasses, anything that's in my hotel room that I have to use, I make sure that I wipe it down. And I don't have maid service because I don't like people coming into my room when I'm not there. It's just like added extra, I don't know. I just don't want them coming in and cleaning with that rag, washing my glasses with that same rag. So what I do is I just ask for TNT, toilet paper and towels, and I'm good. You don't need to come back in my room, okay? So make sure you wipe everything down. Even if you have maid service or housekeeping service, wipe it down again. So when you check into your hotel room, I would suggest you make it a little bit more personal and bring your favorite scent. This could be like a little mist, a little spray, and you'll notice that a lot of hotels, especially Marriott has a distinct smell. It's the Marriott aroma. When you walk into a Marriott, that scent hits you. So even though the hotel room might just be plain, you can bring your own favorite scent, personalize it, make it more like home. So that's just another tip you can use when you solo travel. Now, when you're traveling, a lot of people are always saying, well, how am I going to get pictures? Well, I suggest having a travel tripod. This one is a little bit big, but you can get smaller ones. The one that I'm using now, that one's actually a lot smaller, and I like that because it's sturdy. But you can definitely use a travel tripod. You can get great photos. You can always ask people to take photos of you. When I was on the Golden Bridge, a kind young man saw me with a selfie struggle trying to take pictures in the rain, and he offered to take pictures for me. So I was able to get a couple of shots on the bridge, and I was also able to reciprocate and take a couple of photos with him as well. You can also bring a selfie stick. This is a selfie stick that also turns into a tripod. So what I would do is I can use this as a tripod, and I can also use it as a selfie stick. So it's almost like a 2-in-1. So you can use your tripods, you can use your selfie sticks, you can ask strangers to get photos. Now, one of the things that I like doing is I like having a dedicated camera, because I get so tired of having to delete photos, delete videos, because I'm reaching capacity on my phone. I like having this because unlike my Google Pixel, this has an SD card. So I'm able to use the onboard storage space plus I can use the SD card for additional storage. And that's the really good thing about when you have a dedicated camera. You don't always have to worry too much about deleting items to make room for new items. Now, here's the thing. As a married solo traveler, you're still going to get hit on. It's just inevitable. I mean, you're just going to have to learn how to deal with that. You may not have realized it because you traveled with your girlfriends, your family, your husband, but when you're traveling alone, men are going to look at you, and you have to know how to handle it. Now, if you have a beautiful ring set, I suggest you don't wear that. I suggest you wear something plain, even a fake. Don't wear real jewelry. I would suggest no jewelry. You want to not be a target, okay? So try to keep things at bay, keep things at a minimum, and that way you will travel safely, securely, while living your best, joylicious life. Now, if you're still scared to travel alone, I get it. It's not for everyone. But the confidence that you're going to get, the self-care that you're going to get, you can still get pieces of that. I would suggest booking a hotel near your home, in your home city, or in your state. That way you're still in familiar environment, but you're still able to go to the spa, participate in self-care, do some tourist things. I'm sure that people that live in New York City have not been to the Empire State Building. And likewise, the town that you live in has tourist attractions that you've probably never been to as well. So use a staycation somewhere close to home, and that way build up your confidence. It's not that bad. You'll see that solo travel opens up a world of opportunity. If anything, it is a confidence builder. Knowing that I went halfway around the world by myself and I'm still here. It's such a confidence builder, and it does something to know it translates to more than just travel. It translates to your life at home. Waiting until you're ready means you may never do it. So go ahead, do it scared, do it solo. You can do this, beautiful. Now, I hope you found these travel tips helpful. Remember, solo travel isn't about escaping your life. It's about expanding it. You are stepping into more of yourself, not leaving anything behind. Other people and insecurities, not your limitation, okay? And what they could never do is exactly why you are doing it. To prove that joy, adventure, self-trust are available to you. And the best part, your family, your friends, everyone benefits when you are fulfilled, because a burnt out, exhausted wifey is no good to anyone. A joylicious, recharged woman, she brings light everywhere she goes. And the best souvenir is a new version of yourself. Forget buying random trinkets. The biggest transformation happens inside you. Now, if you want the companion guide to this video, go ahead and download the Jetset Wifey Solo Travel Playbook. Your husband will survive, your kids will survive, your pets will survive, and you, beautiful, you'll thrive. Now, I think you're going to love this next video. Smooches.